Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got Jamie the Great here.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to our brother, DJ Never, Never Forever. So we're doing something a little different today.
Yep.
We have a very big episode that we've been working on for weeks. I mean, years. We've been trying to make this happen for years.
Long time coming.
Thankfully, through the help of DJ Goldfinger.
OG.
And through the help of DJ City and Sound Collective and all these there's so many things were at play.
Yes, Beat Source, DJ City, everything.
We recorded an episode with Clark Kent, DJ Clark Kent.
Yes,
the legendary DJ Clark Kent.
Yep.
It's what is it, like a 3-hour episode?
Hey, look, listen, before I start editing it, it was 3 hours and 40 minutes. By the time I was done with it, it's 3 hours and like 5 minutes.
3 hours and 5 minutes.
But it's a banger. I even tweeted about it. I don't know if you saw. I was like, yo, this shit's about to change the game.
You did?
Yeah. You're too late. I'm like, this is how you don't read my tweets. I thought we were friends.
So
go ahead.
I didn't even know you did that. Anyway, so this episode that we're gonna release. We put a lot of work into it, and it just so happened while we were in New York recording it, and I was scheduling, Clark Kent's like car service.
Yeah, we're doing everything, ordering the chopped cheese and everything.
His $600 car service.
Shit was a lot. I was like, half of the budget is gone.
Yo, I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. It's 100% worth it. 100% worth it.
We're definitely eating dollar slices for the rest of the trip.
if there's any DJ that deserves a $600 car service,
it's him.
It's fucking DJ Clark.
And there's only a few other ones that we were paid for that.
And by all means, I'm not bitching or talking shit about it.
No,
but I am acknowledging that it's $600.
He mentions it. He mentions it on the podcast. Actually, in the episode, he's like, "Dude, my car service is more than these rates that they're giving out here." And I was like,
"Yeah, he's fucking right. That's right. They are." Anyway, so while we're in New York, out of the blue, it was really like weird.
Yeah.
I'm cool with Nick Bike. I'm subscribed to his Patreon. I'm a big fan of his edits.
Yep.
I love him as a dude.
Great guy.
He was reaching out to me like out of the blue one day, and he just said, when are you guys going to launch a Patreon?
Yeah, pressed us.
And I'm like, why? And I've actually talked to Jamie about it multiple times. And, we got on a call, and he was just kind of explaining like, look, like this is... You guys have had the podcast for 7 years.
Yeah.
And, in the midst of this conversation, I'm explaining to him that, we're in New York. We had to pull budgets to fly to New York. And, we actually want to hit up different, other cities. I mean, the real point of the podcast is to, like, make sure we tell all the stories from different cities and even maybe, like, different countries. You know what I'm saying? On an international level. And there's these projects that we are working on.
Yeah.
And
that we have been working on.
And then we've just been like, I've been slowly funding it by myself.
Yeah.
And of course, DJ City and Beat Source have always been there for us. So while I'm explaining this to Nick, like all these projects that we're working on, he was like, acknowledging the fact that we have listeners, supporters, and followers that, that really kind of support the podcast. They have been.
Some real ride or dies out there.
Yeah, ride or dies for the past, 7 years. Even, the last year or two who just hopped on, but they've literally DM'd me and told me, yo, I started listening from like episode 1.
I'm like, just skip to 10. I'm like, don't do the first 10. The first 10 was raw.
The first 8 to 10 episodes are horrible.
Yeah, I'm like, those are raw.
I was like, I don't even know how you sat through that.
Yeah, one of the listeners I met over the weekend, he's like, yo, I remember listening to the first one, and let me tell you how bad this audio is. I'm like, yo, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, why are you doing this shit?
It sounded like we were in like a laundromat or something.
Well, what Moma said, it sounded like I was wearing a wire. It was like,
that's exactly what it sounded like. So anyway, we're launching a Patreon.
Yes.
And we thought it would be appropriate to launch it this week for this special episode with Clark Kent. So what we're doing for this is that if you go to patreon.com/R.O.A.D podcast, there'll be links in the descriptions and links in our social media bios.
Yes.
You can sign up for a tier 1 subscription, which would be the casual roadie.
The casual one.
The casual roadie.
Just the regular one. The one you just, how you been?
Yeah.
That's it.
Tier 1 is $5, and it'll get you access to early episodes.
Yeah.
One of them being this Clark Kent one.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get your name at the end credits of our YouTube videos.
Yes.
It's just one of those things that's going to help us with operations and expenses.
Yeah, and the more content you're working on and everything that needs to be funded for this.
Right. And I like to believe that, for the last 6 to 7 years while we've been doing the podcast, that we have been trying to deliver a high quality piece of work.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
One too many times Cricket has changed the cameras, the microphones, the lights, the fucking mixer. We've been through 4 mixers and everything funded through him for the most part.
And so that's tier 1. That's
tier 1, $5. What is that? 2 cheeseburgers at McDonald's?
Not even.
Not even.
So tier 1 gets you early access to certain episodes.
Yes.
It gets your name on the end credits of our YouTube video.
Yes.
And, it actually solidifies you as an actual supporter of R.O.A.D.
A casual roadie.
Yes.
For $5.
So then we have tier 2. And tier 2 is the Roadie for Life tier.
Real one.
Now, this is where it gets serious.
Oof.
Okay, so as you've been noticing, at the top of the year when we relaunched the podcast in 2024, February, we've just had guests every week.
Yes.
The podcast never started out as a guest podcast.
No.
But probably in the last 2 years, mostly in 2023, it's been more focused on guests.
Yes.
But what's been missing is maybe some of those personal stories, those personal experiences, where, we would deep dive into our gigs, deep dive into music, deep dive into even personal shit that we're going through. I think some of the episodes that we've had together where we've talked about mental health.
Yes.
We've talked about therapy. We've talked about prostate checks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
everything in those episodes.
But it's hard for us to really deep dive into what's going on.
Yeah.
And like personally for us and our personal opinions on everything that's going on, because it's really, when we have guests, it's really surrounded around the guests. And we want to make sure the questions are relevant with the guests.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Like I can't in the middle of an interview with Clark Kent be like, this is a tough week this week.
Yeah, what you struggle with this week?
These songs ain't really working. I need an intro for this and that.
TSA agent was being a bitch. We didn't do none of that.
But these episodes are going to go back to what we were kind of doing maybe a few years ago.
Our foundation to this podcast.
And we're going to have friends over and we're just going to kind of talk about what's going on. And it could be anything from, where we are.
Yes. What's
What's going on in the city of Vegas, what I'm noticing in other cities, what I'm noticing from crowds, how the music's changing. It's a lot more personal industry shit that you won't hear
on the regular episodes.
With guests.
Yeah.
But it's a real return to kind of what R.O.A.D podcast started as.
Yes.
Those are going to be the extra episodes at the tier 2 Roadie for Life. But on top of that, we are going to add some exclusive content. So what you're going to see is like behind the scenes footage.
Yes.
I'm also working on a couple projects. One of them is kind of a documentary series.
It's pretty sick.
So this docuseries is probably going to be about 30 to 45 minutes. But as we're finishing scenes and as we're finishing interviews,
yes,
I'll start teasing, 3-5 minute edited snippets or clips from the documentary. So, and there's also like vlog content that we never get to post.
Yeah, a lot of vlog content.
There's a lot of vlog and like behind the scenes shit that we never get to post, but that's all going to be available on the tier 2 Roadie for Life tier.
And not to mention the live podcast interviews that we have recorded in the past. Some that didn't even make the light of day will definitely be teased in the tier 2.
That's right. So, yeah, all those live interviews, the street interviews, the live podcast shit that we've posted like, clips of on Instagram and socials. Everyone's been asking for the full versions of those.
Yeah, they want the full versions.
So we're going to post that as well, little by little. But that's only on the tier 2, the Roadie for Life tier. And that's going to be $10 a month.
That's it? Motherfucking $10? You giving them all that for $10?
This is Jamie's sales ad.
Jesus Christ. That's 2 fucking Big Macs.
You're in sales mode right
sales
now,
mode. I'm selling everything at this point.
But anyway, we wanted to take this opportunity this week to announce this. And, the thing is, we've been doing this close. This is 7 years this year.
Yes.
It's been it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of ups and downs,
especially in the last couple months.
I mean, I think you guys have been through a lot with us.
Yes.
And you guys have been by our side and had our backs along the way. And this is something we just kind of wanted to start with y'all. And throughout this whole shit, man, I can't even express how much love and support I feel from y'all. So, but that being said, the Clark Kent episode will air next week. So, you know, even if you don't sign up for Patreon this week, everyone's going through shit. We're not trying to fucking, you know, bleed motherfuckers dry, okay, with this $5, $10 tiers.
No wonder it's so fucking cheap. You're being so nice.
No. We're not trying to bleed motherfuckers dry. So this Clark Kent episode will air next week.
Yeah.
Regardless.
No matter what. Publicly.
No matter what.
And all the streaming platforms.
And on everything.
Yes.
And the typical rollout, Wednesday audio, Thursday YouTube.
Yes.
We just wanted to take this week to announce this Patreon.
To roll it out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick Mike.
And shout to Nick Bike. Shout to Goldfinger. Oh my God. Goldfinger has been.
I don't even know where to start for him, man. He's just been a fucking light.
Not only is he just like a fucking New York nightclub icon legend, he's one of the best DJs in the game still to this day.
Yep.
He's one of the most humble motherfuckers, and he's really helped us at the podcast. And I can't say more about him being involved and being a part of this whole shit with us. And there would have never been a Clark Kent interview or episode without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can hear all about that, how Clark Kent feels about Goldfinger.
Oh my God.
If you go to the Patreon right now.
I'm telling you, like, it's really a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And the thing is, like, Goldfinger he stepped up and became from a friend to a best friend, and now he's helping us out with the podcast. Every time we go to New York, he's always been there. I thank Goldfinger for just helping us through, even through this, you know, time that we had to go through. He's just been a great light for us all along the way.
Yeah, literally the first 5 to 10 minutes
just all
of this Clark Kent episode is Clark Kent. It's just bigging Goldfinger up, like just telling him how amazing of a DJ and a person he is.
Yeah, keep calling him little brother since the day he met him. It's just been a great,
crazy.
Honestly, one of the craziest episodes we ever had. So much so that I spoke to Cricket, and I never do this shit. I was like, yo, we can really split this to part 1 to part 2, but just taking that away from you guys from the whole experience is kind of like too much. But it's that great. It's like a 2-parter. It's like, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I know in the midst of everything going on with like Kendrick and Drake and all this beef and all these rap battles going on.
Yeah.
As we speak, the Kendrick response has released.
Just now. It's crazy.
And, you know, social media is going crazy right now. It's all wild. So, you know, in the midst of all this, we wanted to let y'all know we are launching this Patreon.
Yes.
And as always, we appreciate your support. We appreciate the love. And, you know, we'll continue to do this as long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And thank y'all, man. Appreciate it.
Really, really appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you guys talk in the group chat that's on Patreon, telling us what you like, what you dislike. Just getting a real close-up. Like if you're texting us in a way. So we'll be very interactive and we'll talk our shit.
So even when I was talking with Nick Bike, he was explaining how it's really like community-oriented, the Patreon is. And as he started explaining, I was getting excited.
Yeah.
And there's group chats, there's way to message us and talk to us, there's commenting. And honestly, I want to start getting into maybe a rhythm where we could have our Patreon, you know, members like sending us questions.
Yeah, that'd be
and
amazing.
us doing like, I don't know, even answering your questions or doing live Zooms.
Yeah.
I mean, we even talked about certain producers, DJs, editors, you know, sending us their edits and us like, you know,
live reviewing it on the podcast.
Like a more interactive, you know, dynamic with this whole thing with Patreon that I'm a little more excited about.
Yeah, it's definitely something brand new to us. You know, after a while, you kind of get to a rhythm and everything seems the regular. And then you do something like this and it just kind of revamps everything.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in it.
And there's another project outside of this documentary series that I've been talking about. There is another project that I'm working on.
It's fucking amazing.
That I think y'all are going to fucking love.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
And I'm only going to have it on Patreon. Maybe like 3 months, after like 3 to 6 months of Patreon of those episodes.
Yeah.
We might put them on YouTube after that because they're just too good.
Maybe. Maybe you gotta
But
pay.
these
You gotta
are
pay the
fucking-
$10 ones.
No, but this is like what we're gonna do is gonna be it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Once again, to all our loyal listeners, if you can't sign up for Patreon, if you don't want to be tier 1 casual roadie at $5, if you don't want to be tier 2 roadie for life for $10, don't worry, that Clark Kent episode's gonna air next week.
However, we do have a dope ass episode for the additional one a month that's coming the following week. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
jump on that.
The extra episodes on Patreon will release the second Monday of every month.
Yes.
And then there's another possible episode that might release on the fourth Monday of every month.
Yeah, which
But-
is the things
But
you've been
we're
cooking up.
doing things little by little. We're not trying to just like dump everything all at once.
Yeah, we're trying to tease you guys.
We're trying to figure. Well, we're figuring out the Patreon and we're figuring how it all works and all the dynamics of it.
Yeah.
But thank you once again. We'll see y'all on Patreon, or we'll see you next week.
Yeah, either or. But hit us up on the group chat on Patreon.
There you go. All right. Peace. If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.